Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Studio 78 podcast. I am your host, Nache Snow from nachesnow.com. Thank you again for joining me for another episode. Got some good stuff for you guys today. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has supported me. It's so funny because a lot of you guys will know this or will know this if you start your idea this year, but it's like the small stuff that makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. So I've been bugging everybody like, please rate me on iTunes. And I was at like 6 for a while, and then I saw like a 7th person rated me 5 stars. And I'm like, oh my God, someone rated me. And so you're like, okay, calm down, Nache. It's like 7 people. But I tell you, it's those small wins when you first start out and you're trying to like grow an audience that just makes you feel a little good. So I just appreciate everything, and I just take the love as it comes in. So anywho, I just wanted to say thank you to the 7th person who has rated me on iTunes. Also, I have some amazing guests coming up. Believe it or not, like I am, because basically what I've tried to do is kind of batch record a bunch of episodes. So I have like some good content, at least for the next, my goal was like for the next at least month, but I actually have like 2 months worth of content or 2 months worth of interviews. And that doesn't even count like some of just the side conversations that I just want to have with you one-on-one personally or with friends. So, once I add those in there, I have like content up to March. And let me tell you, if you're ever starting a podcast, that is like amazing, because then you're not worrying about what you're posting every week. So now really all I have to worry about is like editing, podcast in advance. So it's been great. When I reached out to my network of people that I've met in passing or really good friends and said, hey, can I interview you? They were all like, yeah, just kind of like the finance bar who was amazing last week. And I hope you guys really enjoyed that episode because she gave some really good finance tips. Like listen to that episode twice, seriously. But yeah, so anywho, I'm just kind of really happy about that. But okay, so that's really all I have. I'm not going to be too chatty before the episode this time. But let me just tell you a little bit about our guest. So I have Corrinne on here from Search By Inseam, and she's actually from my Tall network. And, just like, when in episode 2, when I was talking to Elena, like there's like this group of like business women that just happen to be tall that's kind of out there, and we all like talk to each other and support each other on social media, and then we sometimes actually get together in real life. But she's someone who Corrinne is someone who I've never met, but I've seen her for years and seen her website, and her website is even a resource on my Tall website for other women. And so when I put out a blog post last summer on my Tall blog, I told them that I was thinking about doing a podcast. I just wasn't sure when, where, how I was going to do it, because I didn't know if I was going to do it for just the Tall community or just one in general. And of course, now you see that I've decided to have one that's connected to my personal brand that'll allow me to discuss many topics. But anywho, when I put that out there, she was one of the folks that like emailed me and was like, hey, if you decide to do this podcast, I would love to be on there. And like 6 months later, I contacted her and she's like, sure. So I really appreciate her coming on. But anywho, today she's going to talk to us about A couple of things. The first thing is just how she started her business. And really, it is passive income because you hear about passive income online and it does seem like a myth, right? But I really feel like she does have to. Do some marketing and do some things here and there. But for the most part, for her business model, she gets to make money while she sleeps, which is pretty amazing. And then also, of course, I mean, since we're two tall gals, we do some tall talking too. So if you're over 5'11", you'll love to hear about like a couple of the stores that we recommend for tall tops and for maybe some tall jeans or tall pants. But so it's like a little fashion meets business. And if you happen to be vertically challenged, no worries, because there's still some good stuff, some good lessons learned in here, a great story in here. And you can, when you go over to the show notes, you can click on the link that'll teach you how to measure your inseam. And no matter what your height is, you need to know what your inseam is. So last week I mentioned that I was having some mic issues. Skype was defaulting to the wrong mic. So I have 4 episodes where the mic quality isn't the greatest. So this is the second out of the 4 that I mentioned. But just like last week, I sound fine. You can still hear me. It's just not as crystal clear as the mic that I'm talking on right now. But just wanted to give you guys a heads up. I know you're going to enjoy this episode with Corrinne, so let's get started. Hello and welcome, Corrinne, to the Studio 78 podcast. I really appreciate you taking some time to come on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, can you just, I really want to kind of dive into the website you created. But before we go into it, can you just tell the listeners a little bit about your background?
Sure. I grew up in a very small town in Southwest Washington. It's called Kelso. And I was pretty average until about 4th grade, and I hit a growth spurt, and I grew 6 inches in 1 year. And I was suddenly really tall. I was the tallest person in the class. And that just kind of continued through junior high and high school. And finally, when I got to college, and I actually didn't have any problems growing up finding clothes the right size. I think because we were in a small town, we had very limited options in terms of where we would shop. And it was the 80s and the 90s, and kind of anything went at that time too in terms of fashion. I remember wearing, ankle jeans with bows and zippers, and it didn't matter if they went all the way to your ankle bone or not. Nobody really cared. But once I graduated from college, I landed my first job at Microsoft, and I was working in a casual business environment, but people were smartly dressed. And so I really wanted to fit in, and I started noticing, where people were shopping and what they were wearing. And one of my coworkers was shopping at J. Crew, and so I started checking out J. Crew, and they had tall sizes, and I definitely knew that I needed tall size pants and tops. And so I started buying from them, and everything fit really well, and I was getting all these compliments, and it felt so good. And then all of a sudden, J. Crew switched their tall inseam lengths from 35 inches to 36, and it was suddenly too long for me, and it was sloppy. And so I realized, okay, I'm a 35-inch inseam, and I now had this number in my head. And so I went on a search to try to find other 35-inch inseam pants, and it was incredibly difficult. I would go through all these product detail pages and size charts on different websites, and sometimes it wouldn't be listed. And so I'd wind up calling customer service, and they'd say, sometimes they would have the information, and other times they would have to go down to their warehouse and check and email me later, and it was just incredibly frustrating. So I remember typing into Google, like, search by inseam. I know what I want, and I just can't find it, and there was nothing there. And about this time, I was actually finishing my MBA, and starting to think about, well, maybe I should start my own business. And that's kind of how I came across Search by Inseam. I was solving a personal problem and then discovered that other people had the same problem, whether they were petite or tall or maternity plus or men's sizes. It's a problem that a lot of people have.
No, absolutely. And for the listeners out there, it's interesting. There's like this whole tall community out there. You have bloggers like the Tall Muse, Pretty Tall Style, 6 Foot Style. I mean, I'm a tall blogger, talllook.com, even though I have been slacking lately. But I mean, it's only because of the struggle out there. And I think anybody who's like over 5'11" usually tends to have an issue. Like I'm 6'1", and what's your height now?
Now I'm 6 feet.
6 feet, okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then I recently went to a tall event, and there were women there. It was funny. I was like the short one that was like 6'4" and 6'5".
Wow.
But there is this like issue out there because most of the stores like either carry regular size or they carry petite. And when you go online, there's like, you just don't know what you're buying, because most sites don't even list the inseam like you were saying. So I think the website you created, searchbyinseam.com, is genius.
Thank you.
And so did you decide to do this full time, or do you also work like a 9 to 5 while also maintaining the website?
Yeah, so once I started my MBA when I was at Microsoft, and then I finished the program when I worked over at Amazon. And so I started creating it, and Amazon let me work on my website for 10 hours a week while I was still full-time at Amazon. And I did that for about a year or so, and then just really wanted to take off with the website full-time. I was having success with it, and I just needed more than 10 hours a week. So I made the switch 10 years ago to do this full time.
Wow. That's amazing. Now, how long did it take you before you felt like, okay, this is profitable? Because I know even like after you take the leap and dedicate, 40 hours plus a week to something, sometimes it takes a long time before you're like, oh, I can actually, pay myself.
Right. Yeah, this one is a very lightweight business model, and that was something I was really interested in. So it wasn't a lot of risk. But a friend had told me, I was looking at different business models, and I'd taken a class where we talked about forecasting, and I thought, oh, that sounds so difficult to really get it right. And if I want to carry all these different inseams, I don't want to have to stock all that inventory. I think that's a really difficult thing to do. So a friend who's also an entrepreneur told me about the affiliate model, where you can sell for other companies like Nordstrom and Amazon and Gap, and you just show people the products that they have on your website, and then once they click through, Nordstrom and all the others, they do all the fulfillment, but you get a commission for each sale. So once someone clicks through a picture on my website and then buys anything on that website seller, then I get a commission. So really all I'm paying for every month, my expenses were so low starting out. I just needed internet hosting, site hosting, and then blog hosting. So now I've added some marketing and web design and things like that. But I was profitable very early on because it was just such a lightweight business model.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. And so in the beginning, and I'm asking these questions just because I know we have like a lot of people out there who are like, oh my goodness, I have this idea, to start, an online business. And I think sometimes they just don't even know where to start. So like, how did you build your even first website? Did you do it yourself? Did you pay someone?
I did it myself, and it was really ugly. But I wanted to test it, to see, was this even a great concept? I thought it was definitely solving my problem. And from other people that I talked with, they thought that it would be solving other people's problems too. But you just never know until you launch. Right. So I think it's I think it's really wise, at least it was for me, to just start very inexpensively and just give it a test run and see what happens. And then once I saw the orders coming in, I was like, okay, I can do this. But I didn't dip into savings or anything. I waited until I had the income to support a real graphic designer, and I don't think I did that for maybe a year or two into the after doing it full time. And then I had worked with a graphic designer at Amazon, and so I already had someone that I knew and I trusted and knew I could work with. And then so I worked with him to do the first one. And then I had that design for maybe a good 5-6 years. And then I switched to the one that I have today, and he did that work as well.
Mm. And then how did you, because I feel like now, because I forgot when I started my blog, it had to be like 8-9 years ago, something like that. But I feel like now it's kind of, everybody is like used to this online space and they're used to connecting online. 8 to 10 years ago, they were kind of there, but not really. So how did you get the word out? Like, how did you let people know, like, hey world, like there's this amazing site. Hey, Talk community, you need to come here and shop.
Great question. Yeah, I had a friend from my MBA program in marketing, and so I picked her brain a lot. And she said, start writing press releases and send them hard copy to all these different magazine editors. So, and this was 10 years ago, and so people were still reading lots of magazines, the print copies, and so I spent a day at the library just looking through all of the magazines and writing down all the fashion editor contacts, and went home and set up a mail merge and did a big mailing, and just mailed a bunch of them. And I actually got picked up by InStyle magazine. That was my first one, and it was huge be put in InStyle. And so I did that for a couple years, and I got an InStyle magazine twice, Oprah's O magazine, Self, and then Women's World, and a couple others, Shape too. And that really helped initially. But yeah, I just got onto Facebook, a few years ago, and now I'm on Instagram and Pinterest, and I'm still learning the ropes of those. But it's a totally different space now.
But I guess at least you already have a fair amount of people who know about you, so you don't have to rely on that social media to get traffic because you already have built it up over the last 10 years, where I feel like people now, they're like really relying on IG or Twitter or whatever to bring them that traffic.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what are you doing? I'm just curious now, like, besides, of course, getting on some of the popular social media places like IG and Facebook, but what are you doing now to kind of like put the word out there about Search by Inseam?
One of the new things I'm trying is doing some co-marketing with a photographer friend. And she's taking pictures of me in the jeans that I sell on the website. And then she is publishing those on her Instagram account and reaching her readers by tagging Search by Inseam. And then I'm promoting her on my end by tagging her photography business. So that's something new that we just decided to try in October. So it's just been a couple months now, but that's been really fun. We just did a photo shoot yesterday on Friday, and it was freezing here in Seattle. It's like 26 degrees. So we were looking for a red door to take the pictures in front of for Christmas, and we were outside for maybe 10 minutes because we were just too cold. But but it's really fun to, I think when you're a business owner online, especially, you're kind of isolated and by yourself, and it's really nice to have those person-to-person connections every once in a while and be working with a friend and helping each other out.
No, absolutely. And then also for the Search by Inseam, have you found, like, over the last several years that there are more or less or about the same options for tall women out there as far as clothing?
Oh, that's tricky.
I know.
I think some manufacturers are getting better about listing that information, but I'm still surprised at how many don't. I get new sellers who want to sell with me, and if they don't have the inseam length available, I can't put that on my website. And
Mm.
I've had multiple conversations, the last quarter, with different companies, and I don't know, they just don't think it's important. And they say, well,
Mm-hmm.
we say they're tall. And I say, yeah, but that doesn't matter. I mean, there's
Right.
like Land's End, we'll call like a 32-inch inseam a tall, and it's not.
Exactly.
So we really need that information. And I think some are getting better, and some just aren't moving on that. I don't know why. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but there are a lot of I've found, like Shop Bop, for example, carries more designer denim, and Nordstrom too. And
Mm-hmm.
those are really nice because a lot of the designer denim are made for the longer legs
Mm.
of a model. And those are easier to find, a 34, a 35, a 36, even 37 or 38 sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I still struggle, trying to find tops that are tall.
I
And
know.
this summer was kind of this spring and summer, there was the long, flowy tops where you didn't actually have to have a tall size, but it was long enough
Yeah.
for people like us. And that was
Right.
really nice, but that just happened to be what the trend was. So it's not going to last
I
forever.
exactly, because I think, with pants and maybe, pants, jeans, and sometimes shorts, at least for the most part, people are used to listing inseams. You could get lucky there most of the time, but tops, hardly ever do they really list it. And then I think even if they did list it, most people aren't quite sure what length to get anyway, right? Because
It's
it's
true,
not as
yeah.
popular as like, oh yeah, I'm a 35-inch or 34-inch inseam. It's like, oh, well, what's your top length? And they're like, I don't know. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that was something I got with feedback early on, was people didn't know what their inseam was. And so I have a link
Yeah.
on the website, how to measure your inseam, so that you
Mm.
know what you are. And then I just did a blog post recently about how to measure for a skinny jean inseam length, because that's a lot different, because you want the jeans to hit at your ankle bone,
Oh yeah,
versus
that's
like a boot
true.
cut, you want it to cover your boots or your shoes. So
Mm.
I think that's helping tall women right now too, is having the skinny jeans be so popular, is they can hit a lot
Mm-hmm.
shorter on us. And if it's not quite right, we can still cover it with a tall boot, maybe, if we need to.
Right.
But a boot cut jean is less forgiving, and that really needs to go the full length. So that's harder to
Yeah.
find.
I know, it's so tricky, and I know your site too, which is nice. Will do like maternity and plus size too, because I've had emails from women who are pregnant or plus size, and you're like, oh, Nache, you posted this and that was great, but they don't go up to size 18, and I'm like, ah. And so
I
I know
know.
some of I haven't posted in a while, but I always try to at least try to find like two or three plus size, options, but that's really hard too.
It is. Yeah, the tall plus size is so
Yeah.
limited. Yeah.
Mhm.
There's a huge market for it too. I don't know why manufacturers don't see that.
I don't know either. I remember, I forgot what store I went into, but I remember asking them, I'm like, hey, you have like, petites here. Why don't you have like a tall section and that have it range
Mhm.
from like regular tall and maternity? And they're like, it just doesn't generate, I guess, as much revenue as the regular and petite. So he's like, we only sell it online. Because he's like, the people walking
Mhm.
through the store. And I'm like, well, maybe they're not walking through the store because people don't have it. But, they like, as a tall person, I know if I'm go to the mall, I'm just kind of looking around for like styles I might like so I could buy online, because nothing is going to fit in the mall, very rarely,
True.
right? And I'm like,
It's
but maybe
true.
if you change that and have that option available, more tall women will come to your store, but I guess they just don't get it.
I don't think so.
For you, like, so since this is kind of like your like full-time job, like it's an interesting model because of course, like, you're going out there and you're looking for new things, but it's almost like passive income, which is
Mhm.
genius. It's great. So, but for you, like, so how do you kind of balance it? Do you have like other projects that are going on, or even though it's somewhat passive, does this like fill most of your time?
Well, what fills most of my time right now is raising two little boys. So this is
Oh,
awesome because it's so flexible. I can make
yeah.
my own schedule, and right now at this stage of my life, I'm mostly working during their nap time and then after they're in bed at night. So there's a couple windows during the day that I do work on the website.
Oh, no,
But
that's
I
genius.
do love that I generate income. You know, I was sick with a stomach flu all last week. I didn't work on the website at all. I had no energy, and I still generated sales. And it's so nice to finally come back after a week off and realize that I was making money while I was sick.
Right. No, I mean, I think it's great. It's like one of those models, and I know it just doesn't happen over time, like you've been doing this for 10 years, but it's like one of those models. It's like once you get it going and get the word out there, it's, you know, you literally can make money while you sleep, right?
Yes,
You know,
yes, it's
so,
awesome.
right.
And
And
anyone can
so,
do it, really.
well, and that's the thing too. Like, you know, like you were saying earlier, the startup cost is low. Like, right, you just purchase hosting. You know, if you're just starting out, you don't have to hire a designer. But after you've proven the model and you start making money, then you can afford a designer, right? So
Right.
your startup cost is relatively low. I feel like you just have to have a good idea that you're passionate about, and then other
Mhm.
people will see that passion.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then for you, kind of like, what's next for like Search by Inseam? Are you kind of like just letting it do what it does now and just keeping it fresh with a blog post? Are you thinking about adding anything else to it or expanding it in any way?
I really want to get into the social media more than I am right now. You know, I just got on Instagram and Twitter and Pinterest, and so I really need to learn those better and how to be successful there, as I think that is a huge opportunity for the website, especially for the younger shoppers that I'm trying to
Mhm.
capture. So that's really my focus right now going forward.
No, and I feel like there has to be like a plan for that, right? Or it'll like consume your life. You know,
Yes.
I always tell friends like I have like I make handmade stuff, and so I have a Instagram account, Creative Route, and I'm like, what I try to do is like take all the pictures on the weekend when I remember, and then just kind of schedule them out through the week, so it's kind of like second nature, and I'm not like, what should I take a picture of? What should I write? I mean, you know, it's like it's such
Mhm.
a process that can consume you, and then you find yourself always on the phone trying to post something.
Oh, definitely. It's so nice when you can schedule your posts. I love that feature.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do start once you get into especially Instagram, like I get pinged now on my phone every time someone likes it or comments and Facebook is the same way and you do want to respond right away, but you also don't want it to consume every waking minute either. So it is kind of tricky.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And then as we wrap up, I just have like two questions. The first question
Sure.
is, do you have any advice for tall women out there who haven't really kind of discovered their style or who are still struggling to kind of find clothes that fit?
Oh, that's a great question. One resource that I recently came across is called Dressing Your Truth, and it's
Mm.
by Carol Tuttle, and she's a psychologist based in Utah, and she has this online program, and she goes through four different types of energy, and we're all a certain type of energy, and based on that energy type, she tells you different ways to dress to really express yourself. And
Mhm.
I've been doing that recently. I'm a type 4, and it's categorized as like bold and striking. And so she goes through the colors that are best for me, like the rich, true hues, and not wearing more than two colors at a time. And That's been really helpful for me in terms of style and shopping. So I know what colors I'm looking for. I'm not looking for any grays or neutrals, anything that's washed out, but just bold, striking colors. So that's helpful a lot. And then for tall pants, for sure, Search by Inseam.
Right.
That's what we do. But in terms of tops, tall sizes, I've found J. Crew to be great, and Banana Republic, and Eddie Bauer even. It's more sporty, but and Gap and Old Navy have the tall tops those are my go-tos.
Yeah, those are great options. And one place I'm addicted to, it's a little expensive, but Anthropologie, I find, online they have like long pants. So I've found like some great work pants that are like 35 inches, which I was shocked about. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
That's where I found my first pair of designer jeans, actually, was Anthropologie, and they were Joe's jeans, and they were 35-inch inseam.
Yeah.
But that was my big splurge in designer denim. But after that, I was hooked. It was just so soft, and it fit me so well.
You're like, this is perfect.
It was, yeah.
I mean, it's so funny out there because I'm sure a fair amount of people listening will be under like 5'8", right? But the thing about it is, I feel like if you're very tall or even very short, especially growing up, you get excited when you find clothes that fit because you end up like wearing like these clothes that aren't for you. Or I feel like sometimes tall women, we end up having to get like guy clothes or guy sizes, in different things because there's nothing out there. So when you find like the clothes that are actually made for you, you're like super excited.
Oh, it feels so good. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then you don't want to put them in the dryer, right? You got to hang them in the drying racks so they don't shrink.
Or you'll buy, like, if I see something I really like, I'm like, I'm just going to go ahead and buy 2 of these because I'm just, I'm going to save one for, like, a couple years from now. But the other question I have, which is a little different, but just on the business side, is do you have any advice for, or lessons learned or anything from making money from just being an affiliate?
Yeah, so there are 2 main affiliate networks that I'm a part of, and the first is Commission Junction, so it's cj.com, and the other one is linkshare.com, and they just changed their name to Rakuten, I think it is. And those are free to join, and you can sign up, and once you have your website, sign up for these, and then you can see all of the different sellers that are a part of that, like Nordstrom and Gap and Old Navy, and Amazon has their own affiliate program too, and that's also free to join. And so once you have your website, you join these affiliate networks, and then they do all of the data feed for you. So you go in and you see, okay, here are the pants that I could add to my website today, and they track all of the sales. They handle payment. It just makes it really simple, and really anybody can do it.
No, that's great information. And my last random question I've been asking everybody is, what is something that you can't live without? It could be anything from a product, food, anything in the world.
I am a huge sucker for cupcakes and sugar cookies. I have a sweet tooth, but those are 2 of my favorite treats that I indulge in quite often. I'm thankful that I'm tall enough to carry the extra weight.
That is the nice thing about being tall. Like,
I know, you can hide it.
Weight, people, exactly. Yeah, I have like a little bit of a cupcake addiction too. It's pretty bad.
Oh, they're so good. Yeah, if you ever come out to Seattle, Cupcake Royale is the best.
Oh my goodness, I will definitely look that up because I haven't been in Seattle in a while, but I've been out there twice in the last 10 years, and I love Seattle. So I'll definitely, if I get back out there, look that up. And then please let the listeners know like where they can find you, your website, social media handles.
Sure. Searchbyinseam.com is the website, and we have links there to Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. All of those are Search by Inseam, so you can search on Instagram for that, or just Twitter, and now Pinterest. Search by Inseam.com. Personally, I have a LinkedIn profile, Corrinne Henderson, and I'm also on Facebook there as well if people want to get in touch with me personally.
Perfect. I will make sure everyone to include all of those in the show notes, and along with everything that Corrinne has mentioned. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I think it's going to be really beneficial to not only people who are looking to start a business, but also tall women everywhere. So
thank you for
sharing your wisdom. Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you so much for having me.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Just to wrap up here, I just wanted to say that I think that this is a great example of when you know how you've said in the past, and everybody has, man, somebody should do X. But instead of her saying it, she was like, you know what? There's a need here. Let me do X, Y, and Z. And she did. And it had a really low startup cost. All it took was her having some imagination, pay for a host, and actually do the work to get some press releases out there to magazines that would reach the audiences she needed to find out about her website. And that is, even though, you think, oh, well, that was 10 years ago and it's magazines, that's still relevant. Number one, magazines are still out there. You see them at airports, you see them at Barnes and Noble. Like, people still get magazines in the mail, even like those boutique magazines. So they're not dead, right? So I believe what she did is completely still relevant. It's just, instead of sending it through the mail, now you could just look them up on Google and maybe email them your press release, right? But yeah, so I think this is just a great example of how you could start out with a very simple idea, a very simple business model, and really grow it to something that will allow you to make money while you sleep. It's, if you find that right niche and you know that you will appeal to a certain group of people, it could happen. I just want to mention two other affiliates that I know about, like the ones she mentioned, I think are larger affiliate programs that have a lot of companies associated with them. I'm just going to mention two that are very, like, they're not like a collection of really multiple companies. They're really just the company with an affiliate program. And the first one is Shop Style Collective. And if you've ever been over to Shop Style, basically it's a repository of clothes from a lot of different large department stores or online stores, and you can filter your results and so forth. Well, they have, and it's all fashion, but they have a affiliate program called Shop Style Collective, and basically you promote the clothes that they feature on their main website, and you get a kickback if someone clicks on your affiliate link. So, for example, on Tall Look, I would find like some tall jeans. I would post about the tall jeans, and then I would get a special link from Shop Style Collective. I would add it to that picture, and when people clicked on the picture or the text, it would take them to like the Shop Style site, and then I would make money off of that. Like, it's like a small percentage, like small, okay? But, it's like a couple $100 here and there, but it was something. So that's one, if you're in the fashion industry, you might want to think about, especially if Shop Style carries clothes that you would feature to your audience. And then the second affiliate is a online website that everybody knows about, which is Amazon. And Amazon is amazing. Now, unlike Shop Style Collective, Amazon, you only get a kickback or you only get money if someone makes a purchase. So let's say I have like a pair of shoes or a dress or whatever on my Tall Look blog. Someone clicks on the image that has my affiliate link. which takes them to Amazon. If they purchase that product or any other product while they are in that environment after clicking my link, then I'll get a kickback. But let's say they close out their web browser or close out the window and then open Amazon up again. The connection is like broken. I would no longer get a kickback from them. So I just want to make sure that's clear. So it's like they have to click the link and then stay in that environment, because like there's like a tracking code within the link that allows Amazon to know that this person came from our website. And so that's one way you can make money through Amazon. Another way, like there's even a popular podcaster, she just has it set up where she has a generic Amazon link, and then she just tells people like, hey, if you want to support the podcast, please use this Amazon link whenever you go shopping, and then I'll get a percentage of your purchase. So then people don't even have to buy anything necessarily from her. They're just supporting her by using her Amazon affiliate link, and then she'll get like a kickback from their purchases. So that's pretty cool too. And so I hope you guys thought this episode was really good. I did. I know even for NacheSnow.com, like I'm thinking about signing up for some affiliates for some of the products that I absolutely love, because I'm like, well, if I have this list of products and I'm making money for these other companies, at the very least, I should get like a percentage, So if you don't quite get affiliates, like just imagine, like I recommend a company called, I'm just making up something, Zombieland. And so I tell you like, hey, you guys should go over to Zombieland because it's amazing. You go over there, you buy their product. Well, I'm making them money, but I don't get anything, right? But what affiliate links allows you to do is for me to work with them to get a special link that I provide you. And so if you go over there and you buy their product, then they will owe me like a small percentage of your purchase. And that's like almost like, I would say, their way of thanking me for referring business to them. It's like getting money for referrals. And so I am really a fan of the affiliate model. A lot of large companies that are similar to mine do the affiliate model. So that is something, along with courses, that I'm looking to get into. And of course, you can find my courses over at NacheSnow.com/courses to see kind of what I'm teaching this quarter. But anywho, okay, I've talked like way too much, but I just wanted to at least give you guys a couple of more resources just in case this whole affiliate thing really intrigues you. Like always, if you have any questions, let me know. And if you have any response to this, good, bad, or indifferent, please add a comment to the show notes, or, add a comment in social media when I post a link to this episode. So you know what I'm going to tell you to do? If you haven't already, head on over to iTunes. Please rate me 5 stars. You just open your podcast app and just rate me right there. Or you can go open iTunes on your computer and rate me when you look up Studio 78 Podcast. If you are an Android person and you're on something like Stitcher, just rate me there too. Just rate me everywhere. You're on YouTube, I've just added my stuff to YouTube. Please give me a thumbs up on there. Like, any love is greatly appreciated. Anywho, it is late because you all know I am a night and weekend hustler. The Fitbit just told me like 30 minutes ago that it was time for me to go to bed because I have it set up to remind me to sleep. And so it is time for me to go. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please share. Take care and have a wonderful morning, noon, or night.